Hey everyone, welcome to today's lesson. My name is Wes and this is Interactive English, and in case this is your first time here, the channel, it's just all about trying to help you practice and improve your English skills, such as with these interactive live lessons that I hope all of you are going to participate in today's lesson, because I have a little bit of a quiz for you. It's actually I guess you could say it's a grammar quiz, because we're going to be talking about verb tenses. And I have some sentences that I'm going to give you with some blank spaces. And all I want you to do is fill in the correct verb tense. So that is the way we're going to practice in today's lesson. And I want you to write all of your answers in the chat, participate in the lesson. Even if you're watching this later on, next year, it doesn't matter. You can still participate. Use the comments section as like your piece of paper and write your answers in the comment section. So today it is a verb tense quiz. That's what we're going to be doing in today's lesson. Before we start, I do want to give a couple of shout outs to everybody who's here with me live today. Hello, Lolly, as always, great to see you. Angela, Sleepwalker, thanks for joining me. Althea, let's see, Anar, going through names as I see them. Yashar, Peter, Rosalinda. As I go through, I'm going to ask you guys questions. I'll give some more shout outs later on as you're giving the right answers, if you give the right answers. Gertrudis, hello, how are you? Welcome. So let's just look at our very first question. And again, this is all about verb tenses. I'm going to give you a sentence with a blank. I want you to write the correct verb tense. I'll tell you the verb as well, and I'll give you a little bit of a hint. So here's the first one. It's going to get more difficult as we go along. So here is our first sentence. All right. And I want you to complete that sentence. And maybe this is a little tricky. So I've given you a hint that this is, there is a modal in this sentence. All right. There's a modal in this sentence. And I want you the main verb is know. All right. So how would you complete this sentence? He ought, better. What do you think? All right. What do you think? Write your answers in the chat. Hi. Oh, Silvio. Hello. How are you? Marty, good to see you guys. Write your answers in the chat, and then I'll tell you the correct answer. So the reason I said it's a little, not tricky, I think you guys got this. Excellent. Jacha be here. Giorgio. Fulia, PT, Nekla, hello. Ariane, Asan, excellent. The answer is to know. So I told you that it's a little tricky because you're not only writing the verb, you need to put the preposition to in there. So ought is your modal verb. Many people really consider ought to as the modal. And then when you have like a modal verb, you're going to follow that with the base verb know. So he ought to know better. And in this case, you're talking about something that a recommendation. They should do this, something that should happen. And you could say, like, I think this is a common phrase. If somebody makes a bad mistake or they make a bad decision and you say, oh, he ought to know better. He ought to know better than that. All right, excellent. You guys got that one. Perfect. Oh, Takayo, hello. How are you? Excellent. Glad to see you. The next one right here. This is going to be, again, maybe it's a little tricky. We'll see. I did say this is more advanced grammar. So the plain, your main verb is arrive at 8 p.m. Your clue is scheduled time. You might be thinking, scheduled time. Wait, what does that have to do with anything? I will explain when I give you the answer. All right? So how would you complete that sentence? Think about somebody is saying that, oh, we got to get to the airport, the plane, at 8 p.m. All right. Perfect. Wow, you guys are rocking this. Saeed, Lali, excellent. Konisi, Peter, Ali, Brayon. I thought this would be a little trickier. Maybe you guys are just too smart. So the reason I said I thought it would be tricky is because I thought many people might say will arrive, which you could say, but scheduled time, it's more common that people are going to use the present simple, even if you're talking about something in the future. So if we have to go to the airport, I would tell you like, oh, we need to leave now. We need to drive to the airport because the plane arrives at 8 p.m. I'm talking about something in the future, but I'm using the present tense because we're talking about something that is scheduled time. You would do the same thing with maybe a movie. You would tell your friend, they might say, oh, what time does the movie start? The movie starts at 9 o'clock. I'm still talking about something in the future, but because it's scheduled time, most people are going to use the present simple. If you say the movie will start, that's perfectly fine, but I think very common in this case, people will use the present simple. Excellent. You guys, wow, rock that one. How about this one? Again, your clue, unspecified time. All right, the main verb is the verb to be. So how would you complete this sentence? I to China twice. And the hint that I'm giving you is just right there. I'm talking about unspecified time. I was about to say scheduled time. Unspecified time, you're going to use which verb tense? All right, write your answer in the chat. Like I said, even if you're watching this later, write to me in the comments. I always love getting those. I see these old videos and people are using that comment section and I think it's great. So excellent, perfect. Lali, Giorgio, some of these names I can't pronounce. Angela, Situnia, Ali, Yesamin. So in this case, unspecified time, we're talking about the present perfect tense. I have been to China twice. You don't know when I'm talking about. I didn't tell you the time. So in that case, it's common. People are going to use the present perfect tense. I have been to China twice. If I told you the time, if I said last year, in that case, people would then use the past simple. I went to China last year. That would be specified time, and then you would use the simple past. But in this case, we're going to use the present perfect. Excellent. Here we go. And this is true, actually. This is a true sentence for me and my family. I'd say last year at this time, we a trip to Romania. Your clue is I'm talking about an action at a point in time. So hopefully these clues that I'm giving you will help remind you of the verb tense that you should be using, because when you're learning verb tenses, this is the way people would teach them. This is how I would talk about them, and I would tell people, oh, think about it's an action at a point in time. You're going to use this verb tense. Last year at this time, we a trip to Romania. The main verb is plan. All right. So, excellent. This one, okay, so if we get a little more difficult, I got to give some shout outs. Konisi, perfect. Sait, that's what I was looking for. I saw another answer close. Wait, who is it? Gosh, it's kind of moving for Anna, perfect. Yashar. We're talking about the past continuous. Last year at this time, we were planning a trip to Romania. So to plan, that's the main verb. I said it's an action. So if you think about an action, it's like something that's happening at a point in time, which means it's going to continue. Because if we're talking about an action, typically it's something that will continue along. And in this case, it's the past continuous. At this time last year, we were planning a trip to Romania. So again, I could ask somebody like, oh, what did you do last year? And then I'd say, oh, we went to Romania. Or if somebody's asking for that point in time, remember, think of the continuous tense. You're talking about a point in time, like the present continuous. I am teaching a live lesson right now. It's what's happening at this point in time. And you could do the same for the past. At that point in time, we were planning a trip to Romania. Excellent. Well done. I know this is a little more difficult. Let's look at the next one. Okay. The main verb is get. Okay. I am the door. In this case, I want you to think about the situation. And you're saying this sentence like it's a quick and sudden decision. So perhaps you're in your home and you hear this knock and somebody says, I am the door. And I want you to use the verb get. We're talking about a quick and sudden decision. Excellent. Well done. Hi. Hello, Isabella. Excellent. Lali, Konisi. Hello, Mohammed. Sayed, Darby, Gertrudis. Yes, we're talking about the future tense, something in the future, but it's like really the immediate future. And if you're talking about a sudden decision, I'll get. So you're going to use will with quick and sudden decisions, something that would happen immediately. And I think most of the time in conversation, people are going to use the contracted form. I will, I'll get the door. I'll answer it. So that is, I think, overwhelmingly how people will use this. You are not going to use going to, all right? You will use will. I'll get the door. Quick, sudden decision. The next one, right here. So this, I'm telling you, there's an adverb clause in this sentence. And the adverb clause is before my alarm went off. The hint is really, think about that adverb clause, and that's going to help you determine the verb tense, that main verb, which is here. So before my alarm went off, I a loud boom. What would you say? Before my alarm went off, I a loud boom. All right. So, interesting. It depends on the context, I think. I think maybe you guys are trying to... So, the answer that I have for you, just think about, is just heard. All right? Before my alarm went off, I heard a loud boom. In this case, I know many of you put had heard. Remember, you're going to use the past perfect when you're talking about two events, two past events. In this case, you're saying before my alarm went off. All right, that has not happened yet. You're just talking about, in general, something that happened before this other thing that had not happened. Before my alarm went off, I heard a loud boom. Past simple. The reason why I wanted you to focus on the adverb clause is because you have that past right there. It'll help tell you that the main verb will also be simple past. Before my alarm went off, I heard a loud boom. Let's look at, I kind of give you a hint for one that's coming up. Anyway, we will get there. Let's look at the next one. The main verb is learn. All right, we're talking about a continuing action. I English for 4 years, and I will continue to do so in the future. Okay, so I think you understand the situation. Another key word there is for, F-O-R, the preposition, not the number. So I English for 4 years, and I will continue to do so in the future. So in this case, it's a continuing action. What do you think? What verb tense would best complete that sentence? And again, I think excellent. Lali, Fulia, Sleepwalker, Lucy, Yashir, Manilin, Arturo, Takayo, trying to give as many shout outs as I can. Gertrudis, Darby, Angela. If you're just joining us, we're doing a verb tense quiz. I think you probably could tell just by the way that I've been presenting this. So in this case, you guys are right. We're talking about the present perfect continuous. I have been learning English for 4 years, and I will continue to do so in the future. Let me tell you why it's the present perfect continuous. So that first part, that first independent clause, I've been learning English for 4 years. Something that started in the past, it's continued to the present. So that really tells you you're going to use the perfect tense. But in this case, it's better to use the present perfect continuous, because the next part is saying that you will continue learning English in the future. So that is one difference between the present perfect and present perfect continuous. I think of an action that will continue in the future. You're going to use the present perfect continuous. I have been learning. All right. I hope that explanation makes it a little easier to understand. Let's look at your next question. You guys rock that one right there. So here's the situation. There's 2 sentences. Your key is that there's like just some evidence. And I don't want to give too much of it away. So think of the situation. There's only 1 minute left in the match. Our team win. So win is the verb that I want you to use. How are you going to use that? What verb tense in order to complete that sentence so that that the situation makes sense? What do you guys think? Write your answer in the chat, because this is a quiz. I want you to write your answer in the chat. I want you to participate. That's what these lessons are all about. So this is a distinction between, again, you're talking about the future. There's 2 different ways you can use the future tense. You could use will or be going to. And I want to give some quick shout outs. People who got that correct. Yes. Fulia, Diane, sorry if I mispronounced names, Yasemin. In this case, remember how I told you before that sudden, quick actions, like something that happens immediately, you're going to use will. The door, somebody's knocking at the door, I'll answer it, I'll get it. In this case, you're going to use going to. When there's evidence or even there's a sign that something will come in the future, you're going to use going to. There's only 1 minute left in the match. Our team is going to win. This is great. It's the same way that, think about this. If you eat something and you don't feel well, maybe you have food poisoning, you would tell somebody, that's a sign that something is going to happen in the future. That's like some evidence. And you would tell somebody like, oh, I think I'm going to get sick. Or, oh, I'm going to get sick. So that's another example as to when you're going to use going to and not will. So I was trying to kind of trick you guys with those, because a lot of times when you're talking about the future, especially like a planned event, you can use either one. You could use will or be going to, but sometimes it's more appropriate to use one over the other, such as this case right here when there's a sign or evidence that something is going to happen, like, oh, there's dark clouds outside, I think it's going to rain. Then you're going to use going to. Yes, Mahmoud said, yes, if you're sick, I'm going to throw up. I'm going to be sick. Exactly. That's another example. All right, I started talking about that. Now everybody's commenting on it. Let's look at the next question, or the next sentence that I have for you. This is an example of the subjunctive, technically the subjunctive mood. So here's my sentence. The doctor recommends that she some sleep. How are you going to complete that sentence? Recommends is that is the main verb. That she some sleep, that is a clause, but a clause, it still has a verb in it. And I want you to tell me what you think. How are you going to complete that sentence? And maybe, I think I've done lessons about this before, so hopefully you've seen some of the lessons and it makes it much easier to understand. Yes, Georgia, Said, Lali, Gertrudis, MZZ, uh, sleepwalker, Tapika Takayo, uh, Angela. So this is the subjunctive mood. In this case, you would say she get. The doctor recommends that she get some rest. Did I say sleep in that first sentence? No, rest. Sorry. Maybe I misspoke when I was talking about it. The doctor recommends that she get some rest. Now, I will say that, again, I'm writing this down. So in writing, I think it's very common people would use the subjunctive mood, especially in the United States, because I'm from the US. They would use this in the United States. I've heard that in the UK, some of you in the UK might know that maybe they will say gets. Now, if we're talking about spoken English, I think that people will say gets. And this is sometimes when the way people speak does not always match the way somebody would write something that is grammatically accepted or correct. Spoken English can be a bit different, but because we're writing this, I really just wanted to point out that, okay, that this is an example of when you might use the subjunctive mood. If you're talking about verbs like recommend or suggest, or there are a list of verbs. And the reason for that, let me try to explain this quickly, is that, remember, if you're using a modal verb, you're going to follow it with the base verb. So something that she should do. She should get some rest. Now, you could say that there's a hidden modal verb. That should, we're hiding it. And the reason we're hiding it is because the meaning of recommend, the meaning of that verb is actually like, it's telling you something you think this should happen. I recommend that she should get some rest, but we don't need to say should because of the verb recommend. So you just say the doctor recommends that she get some rest. The doctor recommends she get some rest. So that is the subjunctive mood. Here's another one. Are you guys ready? What do you think? Now, I talked about this before, previously, a few minutes ago, 2 past events. All right. And now I'm giving you 2 blanks. So think about the situation. By the time I at the restaurant, that is actually an adverb clause. The main clause, everyone, and I want you to use already order. So how would you complete that sentence? There's 2 different blanks in this one. By the time I at the restaurant, everyone, and I'm talking about 2 events that are in the past. So both of this has already happened, and I'm kind of speaking as I speak. I think I'm using the verb tenses. So the first part, by the time I at the restaurant, that is my adverb clause. And with the adverb clause, you're going to use the simple past. The next part, it's appropriate, especially because you see the word already. That should tell you, okay, the perfect tense. And because we're talking about the past, then you would use the past perfect. Excellent. Great job, Alexander, Fulia, Lali. Who else do we get? Sorry, I know you guys are throwing these in there. Artura, Nyla, perfect. All right, let me show you the answer. Yes, by the time I arrived at the restaurant, everyone had already eaten. And again, this time, I'm talking about 2 events that are in the past. And those are the 2 events that are related to each other. Because everyone had already ordered. That happened first. And then later on, you arrive at the restaurant. And then later after that, then that's where you are now. So it's almost like you're talking about these 2 events that happened in the past. By the time I arrived at the restaurant, everyone had already eaten. So this is a good example as to when you would use the past perfect tense. Excellent. So this was just a quick little grammar quiz that I had for you guys today to help you practice verb tenses. It wasn't a very long quiz. There were just 10 questions, but it's always good to get that practice, and I think it really helps with your overall English fluency. I wanted to say, again, if you guys like what we do here at Interactive English, I saw some members and patrons with us, Gertrudis, Lali, Silvio, Takayo. There are links down in the description if you'd like to join Patreon, YouTube. I have some different rewards for you if you want to check that out. Help support what we do here at Interactive English. If you enjoyed this lesson, please give it a like, hit that like button. It lets me know, okay, I should do more quiz lessons in the future. This is just a great way for you guys to practice in real time, and also for me to interact with all of you and kind of explain some of this different grammar, which is what we talked about today, some of these different verb tenses. So I hope you enjoyed the lesson. Thank you guys so much for joining me. And can we have one more question? Sorry, I have no more questions at this point. But in the future, I will have more quiz lessons like this to help you practice your grammar, help you practice vocabulary, pronunciation. I really enjoy doing these lessons. And if you guys think they're useful, let me know. Hit that like button. Thanks for being here. Gertrudis, Lali, MZZ, Arturo, great to see you. Ariane, Darby, Sleepwalker, Laura, Angela, Naoko, Iliada, is it Aboyang? Thank you, excellent. I get to practice my Korean a little bit. Arturo, Silvio, good to see you. Esther, Garish, Takayo. Yes, thank you guys so much for joining me. Enjoy the rest of your weekend.